Welcome to Ward's Auto. We are talking more about the Ward's 10 Best Engines competition for 2015. 37 vehicles. We've been doing these videos just kind of updating people on the different segments. We've kind of divvied up all the vehicles into different segments so that and we've already talked about the EVs and the hybrids, and we've talked about the diesels, and now we're going to talk about the muscle cars, or the new version of the muscle cars. So what we consider muscle car is anything that really moves. There's a couple of versions here. The Audi S5 has that the 3-liter supercharged engine, which has been on our list 5 years in a row, making big power, and by conventional terms, it's not a muscle car, but boy, it sure does feel.
It flies.
Yeah, it flies. So then a similar version to that would be the 3-liter bi-turbo, which is an all-new engine. It's a V6 that's in the Mercedes C-Class, making 329 horsepower. And again, it seems like they're trying to compete with Audi on that, forced induction 6-cylinder segment. And then moving up to the V8s, we have the 5-liter Tau V8, which is in the Genesis, which is a really nice upgrade on the Genesis, but not so much a muscle car engine. Yeah, it makes great power. It makes more than 400 horsepower, but it's not the same as, say, a Hellcat or a Corvette. Yeah. So then, moving from there, we also, of course, have the 6.2-liter LT1 V8 from the Chevy Corvette, which made our list last year. 460, right?
Mm-hmm. With the performance exhaust.
Yeah, with the performance. And then also the 6.2-liter supercharged Hemi V8, which is the Hellcat. That's in the Challenger and also in the Charger. We evaluated both of them. Even though the Charger technically is not eligible, it's over the $60,000 price cap. The Challenger is eligible because even with the $1,700 gas guzzler tax, it comes in $5 under our price cap. Do you think that's a coincidence?
Yeah.
So anyway, so let's start with the big V8s. I was talking with Drew earlier about so we've got this Corvette with still a very fresh new small block V8, and then we're going up against this supercharged Hemi in the Challenger SRT Hellcat. Is there room for both the Corvette engine and an SRT engine on the Ward's 10 Best Engines list in 2015?
I think there is.
Yeah.
I think there is.
Okay.
We've got all kinds of different engines this year, and I mean, I don't think we have to limit to one V8.
And gas is $3 a gallon.
Right?
Yeah, under $3.
Yeah, maybe we should have like half of them all big V8s.
3 V8s.
But I mean, I hate to see I mean, everybody's talking about the Hellcat. It's a great engine, but I hate to see it sort of just overshadow the small block, which is a new engine. And I was still amazed by how well the cylinder deactivation works on it. Great fuel economy.
Mm-hmm. For a car that powerful.
No gas guzzler tax, by the way, which has been a deal killer in past engine competitions.
Absolutely.
So I think it's still a very strong contender. And you look at the impact of just the packaging of the small block. There wouldn't be a Corvette, right, without the small block, because if you had overhead cams in that, it'd be too tall, and the design would look all different. And I hate myself for all these years thinking of overhead valve engines as being low tech, when you get some of the packaging really provides a lot of, particularly for the Corvette or sports cars with a low center of gravity. It's incredible engine.
And then they put a supercharger for the Z06. They're actually putting a supercharger on top of that too, so that speaks more to the packaging on that. And the big thing, one of the big things this year about that, and I was just in it a few days ago. I had it for the weekend actually.
This is the LT1 Corvette, not the supercharged.
Right, the LT1 that we're judging the winner from last year, and obviously so much fun to drive. But the great thing about it this year is it gets that 8-speed transmission, and we've talked about how transmissions can make a good engine bad, or make a great engine even better. And this one makes it fantastic. Mm-hmm. This is really upgrades this engine and makes it a real big time performer.
Yeah, it's a really good powertrain for that Corvette. It's a good fit. I thought the application was right, and for having 200 something less horsepower, I thought it was just as powerful as was the Hellcat. I didn't feel like I was.
A lot of it has to
Yeah,
do with curb weight.
Yeah, curb weight. Yeah, that's one thing. But I mean, but the Charger, or the Challenger's a lot bigger. I guess you're right.
Oh, it's yeah.
But still, the power. 200 something less horsepower, and that Corvette was. I mean, it was damn fast.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was. And for what you said was a lot of people consider low tech technology. I mean, that's. I don't know. Whatever
you
it's
could've-
called, it still gets the job done.
5 years ago, you could have argued that the small block was kind of old technology. It needed a significant clean sheet redesign,
Yeah.
and it got it last year. I mean, the small block being across the entire family, not only the the V8 and the Corvette, but also the V8s and the trucks, and then they spun off a V6, the 4.3 liter V6, also in the trucks. I mean, the small block engine family is really extremely contemporary, and the
Well,
fact
with the
that-
DI and
Yeah,
everything, yeah.
well, DI and also the cylinder deactivation system. I mean, you can't do that as easily on an overhead cam architecture.
Yeah.
So I was thinking to myself, okay, if I had to pick one or the other, the Hemi or the LT1, which one technically is newer? And it's kind of that's a tough one. I consider the small block architecturally more up to date because it's clean sheet, all new. The Hemi has some carryover stuff, and I know the guys at Chrysler are probably rolling their eyes because, I mean, I've been through the deep dive on that Hemi engine, and they did a massive re-engineering of it, and a lot of amazing reinforcements of everything, the crankshaft, the pistons, it's very impressive on the Hemi, but I still think the small block is actually a newer engine. So.
Yeah, and then the small block did, they got the 8-speed transmission added to it, which improves the performance and the efficiency of it. And then they also went and they tweaked a little bit on the 7-speed manual. Again, we're talking transmissions here, but they improved the rev matching ability on that 7-speed, which speaks directly to the way the engine performs.
Yeah.
Getting you at that RPM that you want when you go to downshift. I think they put a larger oil cooler or oil pump on it, one or the other. And but again, that was speaking right to the track, to the enthusiast community.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So let's move on now. Do we need to say anything more about the Hellcat?
No,
or the
yeah, I
LT1?
mean, the Hellcat was the big story of the year, right? I mean,
It kinda
you did
was.
talk about it, but I mean, it's a significant engine, and it's a lot of us found it refined for an engine that powerful. We've driven cars in the past that had powerful engines over 600 horsepower, and they were not that much fun to drive.
Yeah, right.
As a daily driver, they just took off too fast. You lost control. The back end would kick out without barely any throttle input. And Chrysler put a lot of work, or Dodge, I'm sorry, put a lot of work into making this car what they deemed could be a daily driver. I know some of us don't agree with that, but
I do.
I do too.
Yeah.
I thought they did a tremendous job making that car easy to drive, but when you wanted to go fast, it goes fast without hesitation. But otherwise, it's easy to control.
So you made it easy to drive. I wouldn't call it a daily driver. I wouldn't even put it in the league of daily drivers. They did make it easy to drive, but what I think they did, and this is the key thing about it, is they put a target on the wall and they hit it square in the center. With the NVH and the power and all that goes with it, the whole muscle car image, they hit it spot on.
And it sounds amazing at what?
Oh, yeah, it does. It's a beautiful sound that car makes.
But at every stoplight, in every parking lot,
Yeah.
it gets a little weary.
But to Byron's point, I mean, I recall the GT500, the Mustang GT500 Shelby, sorry, which, yeah, that was a little squirrely. It was difficult keeping that in a straight line. But the Hellcat, or the Challenger Hellcat, is 700 pounds heavier, which you'd think, why would you want more mass? But with that much power, I think you need that mass to keep things stabilized, and that's what gives it the daily drivability, I think.
Maybe, but they did tell me they worked on throttle input and throttle mapping just to get it so it didn't jump off like that right off the bat.
Yep.
So there was effort put into that.
Okay.
Well, and cruising as well. It's really, take it down the highway as a daily commuter. It's no problem at all.
Except for that noise that Mr. Eamon here keeps referring to. But I think,
Music.
Yes, it is at times.
Different strokes for different folks.
It is, but But what about the gas guzzler tax it gets whacked with?
$1,700. I know. I have
Typically
always,
a death knell for.
I have always been
VA.
under the impression, rightfully so, I thought that a gas guzzler tax should be the kiss of death, should not allow an engine to get on the list. If it happens this year with the Hellcat, it'll be the first time ever. I'm still trying to reconcile it in my mind.
But we've never had to debate it. We've never had to debate it when it has 707
No,
horsepower now.
Right.
You know, it's always been
You
500,
almost expect
600.
it. I mean, really.
You know?
Really, the one that I remember, the 4.2 liter Audi V8, which is a wonderful V8, which is now, I mean, been far surpassed. But that was one that I finally succumbed to a gas guzzler tax.
Yep. So another V8 in the competition this year is the 5-liter Tau in the Genesis. Drew, I think you've spent a fair amount
No,
of
I
time.
haven't.
You didn't drive that yet?
No.
Weren't you on the launch for that? For the Genesis? No?
Yes, I was.
Must be a memorable engine.
Yeah. Well, that was like a
It's
year.
very quiet.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
VH is so amazing.
Yes, that was
a
like
really
a year
long
ago.
lead.
Yeah, a year ago. So yeah, I want to spend some more time.
Okay,
on
well,
it
it's
before-
coming in. We're going to get it later, closer to Thanksgiving, so we'll all have to get some seat time in that. But let's move on to the smaller class of muscle car engines, and that's the 3 liters. Forced induction. There's the supercharged V6 in the Audi S5. Then, of course, there's the bi-turbo V6 in the C-Class from Mercedes-Benz. So we're looking at supercharger versus high-pressure turbos in the Mercedes. And I mean, I keep I keep waiting for the 3-liter supercharged V6 to come across one day as unimpressive, and it's been surpassed by other engines in the marketplace. And every fall, this is getting to be like Groundhog Day. You know, you get in the car, and it's like, oh, I remember this so clearly, so vividly. I remember these gear shifts being so crisp, and how each gear shift seems to be more rewarding than the last, because that engine just dances. The tack needle just dances so freely, and it loves to spin up to 4,000 or 5,000 RPM, and it sounds wonderful doing it. So again, I think we're going to have a fight over the
There's no fight.
Audi 3-liter.
Well, what do you think? I
supercharged.
mean, but what do you, the bi-turbo from Mercedes? Obviously, they're putting the supercharged 3-liter from Audi, square in their sights.
Sure, absolutely. Yep.
And I think they've succeeded. I drove it the other day. The thing just really goes. It really goes.
The C-Class.
The C-Class. But it lacked that smooth shifting manual in this particular one that
really
gives
makes it.
that imbues so much character
But you
into the Audi.
But you do have manual shifting, and it's
You
an
do have the
8-speed
paddle
auto,
shifters,
isn't it?
correct,
I think it's an
correct.
8-speed auto. So you can cycle through those gears.
It's
I
not
think
the same, though.
It's not, but we're not. I mean,
We're not debating transmissions,
Yeah,
but just there's a certain sensation that you get, and you got to hand it to the PR folks at Audi, because they're coming through and they're giving us the manual, which is a little more rewarding for us to drive. But at the same time, that Mercedes is very smooth, and it's so responsive, and like I said, it just goes like that.
It's really well. I think the Mercedes is very well done, but I think this is the case too, where you start to see where even twin turbos don't quite give you that low-end creaminess that the supercharger does. And again, I'm not a huge fan of the Audi V6 simply because they haven't made significant updates to it after 5 years.
But they don't have to make update to it when it's still one of the best engines. I mean, why make updates to it? It's something that's clear and above most everything
eventually
else.
they have to update it.
When the rest, everybody else
They
catches
have
up,
to do
then they will. There's no reason to.
I think we should give them a special Laurel Award.
You've been
Some
harping on
laurels
this
that
for
they can sit
years.
on. Okay, so we can just give them here. Hey, take these and sit on them, because that's what you're doing.
But why improve upon something that doesn't need
I know. If it isn't broke, don't fix it.
Right.
But
There you go.
that's just my my beef. But having said that, I still think it is the brand new Mercedes is a great engine, but it's still not quite up to the supercharged.
I'm glad to hear you say that.
Yeah, I need to get that Mercedes engine out on the highway, because I just had a very short commute home and back last night, and I really want to get out on the highway and crank it up to like 4,000 or 5,000 RPM and experience the engine at that level, because that's where that supercharged Audi engine really shines, is at the high RPM. And well, it shines in all ranges, but if I can find that the Mercedes can match it anyway, I understand Drew's point about wanting to recognize the new technology, and I certainly agree with it. But I also fully back Byron's point about, hey, if the new technology that comes along isn't as good as what we've experienced in the past, then I think we need to make accommodations for putting an engine back on the list.
We've had repeat winners in the past.
And another issue, I hate to argue with myself here on this, but another issue as well is I didn't get very good fuel economy with the Mercedes either. I mean, I was getting, I was hitting it pretty hard, but I was only getting about 20 mpg in it.
But isn't that about what we're getting in the S5, I think the S5
it's
is
around 20, a little over 20.
21 miles
right.
per gallon,
Just
too.
above
So,
20.
I mean, they're kind of aligned in terms of fuel economy.
But you don't buy that car for fuel economy.
The S5,
No, that's true.
No, you buy it for that 354 pound-foot of torque. That is just delicious.
Well, I mean, the Mercedes actually has more than that.
That's
Doesn't
the
feel like
Mercedes
it.
354.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so it's got about 20,
delicious.
25 more pounds.
And you would think that you'd get better fuel economy in the C-Class.
Well,
compared to the
superchargers
S5.
are less fuel efficient.
Right, but also with the 8-speed automatic in that Mercedes,
right.
wouldn't you?
It's 7-speed.
It's 7, it's not 8? Okay.
Yeah.
It still should be doing better than a 6-speed manual in the Audi, don't you think? I mean,
Yeah.
if you drove the cars back to back in the same cycles, you would expect that the Mercedes would do better with the automatic. I would.
Yeah.
The discussion continues, and we will be back with more discussions about the Ward's 10 best engines. Thank you.